My husband's ex claimed she was pregnant at Thanksgiving. My mother-in-law believed her. So I made one savage move. My sister called my kids mediocre, so I walked out and cut off her kids' college fund. I smiled, raised my champagne glass high, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "You'll never see us again." Then I walked out with my kids. But wait, that wasn't even close to the craziest part. See, I didn't just cut off contact. Well, let me back up and tell you the whole story because this gets absolutely insane. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Reddit Family Stories. If you haven't already smashed that subscribe button, please do it now because the stories we share on this channel are absolutely unreal. And I'm not exaggerating. Some of these things are so wild that if you didn't have video proof, you'd think someone made it up. Today's story is legitimately one for the books. This is the kind of family drama that makes you question everything you thought you knew about loyalty, sacrifice, doing the right thing, and knowing when to just walk away from people forever. I'm talking about a woman who discovered that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is completely cut off the people who raised you. Her own parents, her sister, her niece, everyone. And yeah, along the way, she did something that honestly shocked me when I read it. She made a decision that could ruin a teenager's future to prove a point. But here's the thing. When you actually understand what happened, when you see the full picture, you realize she might have been totally justified. This story has everything. Public humiliation, legal battles, financial warfare, flying monkeys trying to guilt trip her, a kid who found confidence in robotics, a talented musician who was told she was mediocre for years, and a mother who finally stood up and said enough is enough. Stick around because there are plot twists here that I genuinely did not see coming. And by the end, you're going to be sitting there asking yourself, did she go too far, or did she do exactly what she needed to do? Let's get into it. Okay, so set the scene with me. It's New Year's Eve. You know that feeling, right? The anticipation, the fresh start vibes. Families gathering together. Everyone's dressed up. There's alcohol flowing. Champagne. That expensive kind. And there's this sense of possibility because it's a new year, new beginnings, all that stuff. This woman, let's call her Rebecca. She's at her parents' house for the celebration. And she's brought her two kids. Olivia, who's 14 years old, and Ethan, who's 10. They're young. They're excited about New Year's. And Rebecca's genuinely trying to make this a nice family memory. Her sister Charlotte is there too. Charlotte's got a daughter named Meline who's 18 years old. Now, Meline, she just got accepted to Harvard. Early decision, which is, that's actually genuinely impressive. It's Harvard. Not everyone gets in. So yeah, good for her. That's a legitimate accomplishment. Rebecca's parents are there. They're aunts and uncles. Family friends. People who've known Rebecca literally her whole life. They've watched her grow up. Known her as a kid, as a teenager, as an adult. So there's this whole history in the room, right? Everyone's mingling. Everyone's having a good time. Talking. Laughing. The typical family gathering stuff. Rebecca's kids are there, just being kids, enjoying the party. And then this is where it gets messy. Charlotte decides it's time to make some comments. Not just casual comments. She literally, and Rebecca is very specific about this detail. She reaches out and physically points at her own daughter, at Meline, and she says loud enough for the whole room to hear, "This is what success looks like." And you know what happens next? The room erupts. People are laughing. Not just polite chuckles. We're talking full-on laughter. Rebecca's parents are laughing. Aunts and uncles are laughing. Family friends who've known Rebecca since childhood are laughing. Everyone is laughing. But here's the thing. Here's why this is actually messed up. Charlotte wasn't just celebrating her daughter. What she was actually doing was making a direct comparison. She was saying, this is what success looks like. Which means, by implication, whatever you people over there are, these other kids, that's the opposite of success. And Rebecca's kids? They're right there. They can hear this. They can understand what's being implied. Rebecca describes looking over and seeing her daughter Olivia's hand just start to shake, literally trembling. Her 10-year-old son, Ethan, trying to physically disappear, pressing his body into Rebecca's side like if he just pressed hard enough, he could vanish entirely. And while her kids are standing there absolutely falling apart, Charlotte leans over and pats her own daughter on the shoulder. There's this satisfied smirk on her face, this look of superiority, like she successfully established her daughter as the winner and everyone else as the losers. Rebecca describes the moment as feeling something cold and calculating take hold inside her, something she'd never experienced before. It wasn't just anger. It was colder than anger. It was clarity. It was like her entire perspective shifted in a single moment. She raised her champagne glass higher, kept that smile on her face, and she said, clearly enough for everyone in the room to hear, "Cheers, everyone. You'll never see us again. This is the final time." The room went absolutely dead silent, like you could hear a pin drop. Charlotte literally rolled her eyes. Rebecca says she could see it in her sister's face. The thought that Rebecca would back down, that she'd apologize, that later tonight or tomorrow Rebecca would text and say sorry, that she overreacted, that they could move past it, that Rebecca would crawl back the way she apparently had before. But Charlotte didn't realize who she was dealing with anymore. Rebecca told her kids to get their jackets. Right then. No goodbyes. No explanations to the parents or relatives. Just go get your jackets. They walked out of that house in complete silence. The drive home is something Rebecca doesn't describe in huge detail, but the image she gives is haunting. Tears streaming down Olivia's face the whole way. Ethan curled up in the back seat, making himself as small as possible. Rebecca's hands clenched so tight on the steering wheel that her knuckles turned white. About an hour after they got home, Olivia asked, "Are we really not going back?" And Rebecca said, "Never. I promise you. We're done." Neither of them knew that this promise was going to lead to events that would shock the entire family. About an hour after that conversation, Rebecca's phone buzzes. She looks at it, and it's a text from Charlotte. "You're still funding my daughter's college expenses, correct?" Now, before we go further, I need to tell you something about Rebecca that the family apparently didn't really understand or care about. Because this detail is huge. Rebecca isn't just some random divorced mom. She's been working in estate planning and financial advising for 15 years. 15 years. She's built a quiet, incredibly successful career that nobody in her family seemed to notice or care about. They saw a divorced mom. They saw ordinary kids. They saw someone who was nice and accommodating and kind. What they didn't see was the person actually managing multiple large trusts, the person handling major financial portfolios, the person responsible for serious money, the kind of career where you have to be organized, detail-oriented, legally savvy, and ruthless when necessary. They didn't see that Rebecca had the kind of intelligence and competence that you need to handle other people's life savings. So when she's looking at this text from Charlotte, she's not just emotional. She's thinking strategically. She's thinking legally. She's thinking about what she can do and what she's legally allowed to do. And here's the backstory on that college fund. 3 years ago, when Charlotte's marriage fell apart, Charlotte found herself unexpectedly divorced and raising Meline alone. She was struggling financially. Rebecca, who had money and who actually loved her sister and niece at that time, made a promise. She said, "I will pay for Meline's entire 4-year college education, wherever she gets in, whatever it costs." It seemed like the right decision at the time. Rebecca had money. Charlotte didn't. Rebecca wanted to help. So she set up a custodial investment account specifically for Meline's college. And then Rebecca did something most people would consider incredibly generous. She put in over $250,000. That's not pocket money. That's not, "Oh, I had some extra cash lying around." That's life-changing money. That's the kind of money that could set someone up for a completely different kind of life. And Rebecca did this out of love. She did this for her niece. She did this for her sister. For 3 years, that money sat in an account that Rebecca controlled. She built it up. She managed it. She did everything right. But she was also completely aware that she had legal authority over that account. She knew that she could change the terms. She knew the legal ins and outs of what she'd created. So Rebecca's sitting there at home, looking at this text from Charlotte, and she makes a decision. She doesn't respond to the text. Instead, she opens her laptop. She makes 3 phone calls. The first call is to Michael Grant, her attorney. The second call is to Sarah Lee, her financial advisor. The third call is to Harvard University's admissions office. And she tells them one word. No. Just no. Then Rebecca texted Charlotte back. One word. No. What happened next? Rebecca's phone absolutely exploded. And I mean exploded. Calls coming in. Messages. Voicemails. Charlotte calling. Her mom calling. Her dad calling. Aunts calling. Uncles calling. Relatives she barely even communicated with suddenly reaching out. Some of them probably hadn't talked to Rebecca in years. Rebecca blocked every single one of them. The next morning, Rebecca takes Olivia and Ethan out to their favorite diner. You know the kind, the place that kids love. The place where they have chocolate chip pancakes and milkshakes, and it feels special even though it's just a regular diner. They order. They're sitting in a booth. The kids are starting to relax a little bit, and then Rebecca looks at them, and she just starts talking. Not about what happened at the party. Honestly, she doesn't bring up the party at all. Instead, she talks about them, about who they are. She says, I need you to know something. I am proud of both of you, every single day, and I need you to really hear that. Olivia's lip wobbles. She's obviously about to cry, but Rebecca keeps going. She says, Olivia, you play the piano beautifully. Do you understand? You taught yourself how to write music. That's not something most people can do. That takes real talent. That takes a gift. And Ethan, you built a robot. You took old electronics you found at garage sales. You figured out how to make it move, how to make it light up. You did that from your own brain. You know what that takes? That takes creativity. That takes problem-solving skills. That takes intelligence. You are both compassionate people. You are imaginative. You are bright. What you have, that's not nothing. That is everything. And then Olivia says something that absolutely guts Rebecca. She says, but we don't have any medals. Grandma said I was mediocre. Rebecca needs her to explain. When? When did Grandma say that? Olivia says, after my piano performance last year. She told me I was mediocre and that I should stop playing because I'd never be as talented as the other kids. But I didn't want to tell you because you always seemed anxious when we visited them. I didn't want to make you sad. Rebecca hears this and she realizes something. Her 14-year-old daughter has been carrying this hurt for an entire year. A whole year. She's been protecting her mother from this information because she was worried about upsetting her. Ethan speaks up too. He says, Grandpa used to tell me I was bad at math. He'd help me with homework and get frustrated and say I wasn't working hard enough and that I was lazy. Rebecca remembers this. She remembers her father not being patient with anything that didn't come naturally to her son. She remembers him making Ethan feel dumb multiple times. And Rebecca realizes, right in that moment, something really profound. Her kids have been protecting her, while she's been trying so hard to keep the family together, while she's been walking on eggshells, constantly trying to prevent her family members from saying hurtful things. Her kids, these young people, have been taking that hurt and keeping it to themselves so they wouldn't upset their mom. That's when Rebecca knows for sure. She's not just protecting her kids anymore. She's breaking a cycle. She's saying no to a pattern of subtle cruelty disguised as family. So Rebecca gets to work. With her attorney Michael and her financial advisor Sarah, she begins to restructure Meline's college fund. Now, this is where Rebecca is very smart about what she's doing. She's not just taking the money and running. That would probably be legally questionable. What she does instead is completely legal, completely above board, but it accomplishes exactly what she wants. She and Sarah work on redesigning the account structure. The money is still there. It's still a significant amount. Over $250,000 is still a huge amount of money. It's absolutely enough for 4 years at a really good state university. With careful planning, it could even cover some living expenses. But it's not a blank check anymore. The new terms are specific. The money can only be used for educational purposes at state public universities. No private schools. No Ivy League institutions. No Harvard. The account is locked down tight. Every single detail is documented. Every decision is based on legal precedent. Everything is airtight because Rebecca knows, absolutely knows, that Charlotte is going to lose her mind about this. Harvard's tuition alone is almost $65,000 per year. Just tuition. That's before room and board, before books, before any of the other costs. And Meline's admittance was conditional on providing proof of financial capability by late February. It's January 2nd when Rebecca completes the restructuring. Rebecca spends hours with Sarah going over every detail. Sarah's known Rebecca for 14 years. She's actually seen Rebecca's family dynamics firsthand over some absolutely disastrous dinner encounters. So when Sarah is going through all this with Rebecca, she's not just doing it from a legal or financial standpoint. She actually understands what Rebecca is dealing with. Sarah asks her, "Are you sure about this?" Not like she's questioning Rebecca's decision. More like she's asking if Rebecca is really ready for what's about to happen. Rebecca says, completely sure, "I want everything documented, every interaction recorded, every decision based on legal precedent." Charlotte is about to lose her sanity, and when she does, "I want to have proof of exactly why I did this." Rebecca signs another form. Steadily, deliberately, Sarah sits back and looks at Rebecca with something like admiration. She says, "I've never seen you like this. You're usually so accommodating with them." And Rebecca says something important. "I was a doormat. That's what I was. And I let them walk all over me because I kept hoping they'd finally notice me, really see me, finally understand my worth. And now I know they never will. They don't want to see me. They want a supporting character in Charlotte's story, someone who makes her look better in comparison. That's all I've ever been to them." The paperwork is completed on January 5th. Charlotte gets an official notification on January 8th. Rebecca's phone rings 19 times that day. She doesn't answer any of them. By January 9th, Charlotte shows up at Rebecca's office. Rebecca's receptionist, Melissa, calls her in a panicked voice. She says, "Rebecca, your sister is in the lobby. She's causing a scene. She's yelling at me. Should I call security?" Rebecca walks out to see exactly what's happening. Charlotte is literally screaming in the lobby. Her face is blotchy. She's angry, genuinely furious. Other clients in the waiting room are uncomfortable. Some of them are literally pulling out their phones like they're about to record this. When Charlotte sees Rebecca, she starts screaming at her, "You cannot do this. That money is Meline's. You promised." Rebecca stays completely calm. She says, "Lower your voice. You're disturbing my clients." Charlotte says, "I don't care about your clients. You're destroying my daughter's life." Rebecca says, "No, there is still money available for her education. It's just not at Harvard." Charlotte says, "Harvard is her dream school." And Rebecca responds, "Then she should have sought scholarships like everyone else. Maybe you should have saved for her schooling instead of expecting me to cover everything." Charlotte's jaw literally drops. She says, "You're my sister. Family helps family." Rebecca says, "Family does not ridicule each other's children. When children are humiliated, their families don't laugh at them. You had the opportunity to be family. You chose cruelty instead. You can live with that decision now. Rebecca's mother had apparently told Rebecca that their parents were upset with her about the fund. Rebecca says, "I'm sure they are. They can share your disappointment." Charlotte tries another angle. She says, "Meline worked really hard for that Harvard acceptance. She can work hard at a public university too." Rebecca says, "Public universities have produced countless successful graduates. Isn't that prestigious enough for you?" Charlotte's eyes narrow with actual hatred. She says something that chills Rebecca to her core. "You're jealous. You've always been jealous that Meline is better than your substandard children." And that's when Rebecca's done. She tells Charlotte, "Get out of my office. If you come back here, I will have you arrested for trespassing." She tells Melissa, "Call security." 2 security guards show up within minutes. Charlotte is literally screaming threats over her shoulder as they walk her out. She's saying Rebecca will regret this, that she's going to sue Rebecca for everything she owns, that Rebecca is going to die alone. Rebecca goes back into her office, locks the door, sits at her desk for a long time. Her hands are shaking, but not from fear, from relief, from what Rebecca describes as the profound joy of finally standing up for myself and my children. Michael, her attorney, calls her that afternoon. He says he heard about the incident at her office. There's security footage. Is she okay? Rebecca says, "Good. Keep it. Preserve that footage." Because Rebecca understands what's coming next. Sure enough, Charlotte's attorney calls. They're threatening to sue for violation of an oral contract. They want Rebecca to restore Meline's full Harvard funding. They want compensation for emotional distress and lost future earning potential. Rebecca literally laughs out loud when she hears this. She calls Michael back and says, "Let them try." Because Rebecca has prepared for this. She has 3 years of emails and text messages from Charlotte calling Rebecca's children dumb, lazy, useless. She has proof of every cruel comparison. Every time Charlotte used Meline to disparage Olivia and Ethan. And most importantly, she has the video, the Instagram video from New Year's Eve, the one showing everything, the one Rebecca's cousin had posted and then tried to delete. Rebecca saved that video within hours of the party, knowing it might disappear. And sure enough, her cousin deleted it the next day. But Rebecca had the proof. The video showing Charlotte standing there with theatrical scorn in her voice. Everyone laughing. Olivia's face collapsing. Ethan trying to disappear into Rebecca's side. Rebecca's calm statement and their dignified exit. Charlotte smirking behind them. Michael responds to Charlotte's attorney with what Rebecca describes as a professionally devastating letter. Michael is a former prosecutor. He has no patience for bogus litigation. This letter detailed every documented case of Charlotte's cruelty toward Olivia and Ethan. Every hurtful comment saved in text messages. Every comparison caught in emails. Every family event where Charlotte used her daughter as a weapon. Michael also attached the Instagram video. But then Michael does something even bolder. He doesn't just respond to Charlotte's claims. He files a counterclaim. He's suing for intentional infliction of emotional distress against minors. He names Olivia and Ethan as plaintiffs and Rebecca as their representative. He seeks damages. He seeks a public apology. He seeks a restraining order. Charlotte's attorney withdraws the complaint 4 days later. Game over for Charlotte's legal strategy. But the family wasn't done trying. Rebecca thought the drama might finally be dying down. She was wrong. Her mother takes a different approach. She starts showing up to Olivia's school during pickup time, just standing there, waiting in the pickup line, trying to pull Olivia aside. Olivia calls Rebecca from the school office. She's in tears. She says, "Mom, Grandma is here." She says she just wants to talk to me. But the principal won't let her take me without your permission. Rebecca says, "Good. Tell the principal I'll be there in 12 minutes. Rebecca drives to the school and finds her mother in the main office, literally fighting with the principal and the school security officer. When her mother sees Rebecca, her face lights up like they're about to have some emotional family reunion. Rebecca's mother says, "Rebecca, finally, tell them it's okay for me to speak with Olivia. She's my grandchild." Rebecca says very plainly, "No." Her mother says, "What?" Rebecca repeats, "No. You're not allowed to contact my children. Not at school. Not anywhere." Rebecca turns to the principal and says, "I need to provide legal documentation stating that my mother is not authorized to pick up or interact with any of my children. If she appears again, contact the police." Rebecca's mother's voice goes up to a screech. She says, "You cannot do this. They are my grandchildren. You giggled as Charlotte tore them apart. You sat there sipping champagne while your grandkids tried not to cry." Rebecca's voice is flat and cold. She says, "You sat there sipping champagne while your grandkids tried not to cry." Her mother tries to back off this accusation. She says, "I didn't laugh." "You did." Rebecca says, "I didn't. It's on video. Do you want me to show you?" Her mother's mouth opens and closes. The principal looks genuinely uncomfortable. The security officer adjusts his weight like he's preparing to step in if necessary. Rebecca's mother tries switching tactics. She shifts to the hurt grandmother routine. She says, "Olivia and Ethan are my babies. I adore them." Rebecca says, "Love does not degrade. Love does not stand by sipping champagne as someone tears children apart for entertainment. Whatever you're feeling, it's not love. It's possession." Rebecca signs out the paperwork right there. She officially prohibits her mother, Charlotte, and several other family members from contacting her children. The principal tells Rebecca that the school will rigorously enforce this order. Rebecca's mother leaves weeping. But Rebecca doesn't feel sad. She feels relief. She feels like she's finally saved her children from another attack. But the family doesn't stop. They just change tactics. Michael actually calls this strategy flying monkeys. It's a reference to the Wizard of Oz, people being sent to do the dirty work for the main villain. Rebecca's phone starts getting messages from people she barely knows anymore. Distant relatives she hasn't talked to in years suddenly reach out. They're sending messages about family reconciliation, about forgiveness, about how Rebecca's being too harsh and needs to understand that Charlotte was just joking around. Old family friends who apparently haven't thought about Rebecca in forever suddenly call. They're saying things like, "Rebecca, you're being so unfair. It was just a joke. Your sisters always had a good sense of humor. You're just too sensitive." One aunt calls Rebecca and says, "You're ruining your parents. Do you understand that? Your mother cries every day. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. All because you can't take a joke." Rebecca literally repeats Charlotte's joke back to her, word for word. She explains it. "My sister, in front of a large group of people, called my children talentless. She compared them negatively to her own daughter and encouraged everyone to mock them. That's not a joke. That's cruelty." The aunt responds, "Oh, come on. Kids need thicker skin. The world is hard." And Rebecca says something that's really beautiful. "The world is hard enough. Home should be safe. Family should be safe. If you don't understand that, we don't have anything else to talk about." Rebecca hangs up and blocks her number, but the messages keep coming. Rebecca's dad's business partner reaches out. Her mom's book club friend reaches out. Even Rebecca's college roommate, someone she hasn't talked to in 10 years, suddenly messages her saying she's worried and that Rebecca's overreacting. Rebecca, at this point, is just done. She asks her former roommate directly, "How much did my mother pay you to contact me?" There's a long pause. Then the roommate responds, "She's just worried about you." Rebecca blocks her too. Michael warned Rebecca that the harassment would continue and would probably escalate until Rebecca either gave them what they wanted or got a restraining order. He told her to document everything, not respond to anything. Just let them dig their own graves by continuing to try to contact her. It's exhausting, though. Every single day brings new attempts to wear Rebecca down, new messages trying to guilt trip her, new people trying to convince her that she's the problem. Some of the messages are subtle, dressed up as concern. Others are direct attacks, calling her petty, vindictive, cruel. Rebecca starts keeping a log. Every contact attempt, every message, every phone call. Michael said it might be necessary for legal action later if she needs to pursue harassment charges. But while all this chaos is happening, while the family is trying to destroy her emotionally and potentially legally, something beautiful starts happening in the background. Ethan joins his school's robotics club, and suddenly he's around kids who have absolutely no idea about family drama. All they see is a brilliant, creative kid making amazing robots. There's a girl on his team named Jenna. She's 14 years old. She's the team captain. And Jenna treats Ethan like he actually matters, like his ideas have value. One day, Jenna tells him, "Your gear system was genius. I was thinking we'd have to do it completely differently, but your approach is so much better. You think outside the box in a way most people don't." Ethan comes home, practically bouncing with excitement. He tells Rebecca, "Coach James wants me to lead the design for our competition robots arm." Jenna says, "My spatial reasoning is the best on the team." For the first time in his life, Ethan is experiencing real validation for his abilities, real confidence in something he's good at. But Olivia finds her light too. She gets a new piano teacher, a professor at a local conservatory named Michael Harrison. And this man, he treats her like an actual musician, not like a kid with a hobby, not like she's something cute to be encouraged. He gives her challenging assignments, shows her composers she's never heard of, encourages her to dig deeper into understanding the emotional side of music, to connect what she's playing with real human emotion. After one of her lessons, Olivia comes home and tells Rebecca, "Professor Harrison made me cry today." Rebecca's heart immediately jumps. She's worried. She asks, "What happened? Are you okay?" Olivia says, "Not bad crying. He played me a composition by Caroline Shaw. It was so beautiful, I just started crying. And then he told me something." Rebecca says, "What did he tell you?" Olivia says, "He said, that's what real music does. It makes you feel things you didn't know you could feel. And I believe you have that ability too. Your compositions make people feel." Olivia shows Rebecca some of the music she's been working on. It's sophisticated. It blends multiple themes into something that's both disturbing and beautiful. Professor Harrison has written notes in the margins in his own handwriting. Beautiful phrase here. Trust your intuition. This is the work of a true composer. He actually called her a true composer. Not, "You're doing well for a kid." Not, "Keep practicing and maybe someday." He called her a true composer, because that's what she is. Rebecca asks her, "Do you understand what he's saying, Olivia?" Olivia's voice is small and uncertain. She says, "I don't think anybody's ever told me I was excellent at something before." Rebecca holds her daughter and says, "You're wonderful at so many things, love. You're talented. You're creative. You're intelligent. You're kind. You're excellent at so many things." And then Olivia says something that shows how much damage the family had done. She says, "I know that now. But before, all I could hear was how Meline got straight A's and won debate competitions and got into Harvard. I thought that's what success looked like. But now I realize that success looks different for everyone. Meline's path isn't mine, but that doesn't make my path any less valuable." That's the moment Rebecca realizes something profound. Her children weren't broken. They were just told they were worthless by people who were supposed to love them. And now, being away from that environment, being around teachers and mentors who actually see their gifts, they're blooming. They're not ordinary. They're extraordinary. The family just couldn't see it. Late February arrives. Harvard's financial paperwork deadline passes. Melline doesn't have the documentation proving financial capability. Her admission is revoked. Rebecca learns about this through mutual acquaintances. Apparently, Melline ended up enrolling at a community college, planning to transfer after 2 years. And Charlotte? She moved in with Rebecca's parents because she couldn't afford her apartment anymore. Charlotte posts a long, nasty screed on Facebook. She's going on about ungrateful sisters and broken promises and how Rebecca ruined everything. Rebecca doesn't see it personally, but 3 former friends email her screenshots, apparently expecting her to feel guilty. Rebecca feels nothing, just relief. Meanwhile, Olivia is preparing for her spring recital. She's going to perform one of her original compositions. It's called Invisible. It's a melancholy piece, raw emotion, honest, vulnerable. On the day of the recital, Olivia wears a deep blue dress. She performs Invisible. Rebecca describes the moment. People in the audience are wiping their eyes. When Olivia takes her bow, the applause is thunderous. Afterward, she finds Rebecca in the crowd, absolutely beaming. She says, "Did you hear them? They loved it." Ethan's robotics team makes it to the regional competition in April. They don't win, but Ethan's robot performs flawlessly. The judges specifically praise his innovative design. He comes home with a third-place medal and a certificate, which he proudly displays in his room. He looks at the medal and says, "No medals, huh?" Rebecca laughs because she remembers Charlotte saying that. No medals, no talent. Ethan says, "Just like their mother." Right. Rebecca agrees, just like their mother. But the truth is different now. They do have something. Olivia has her music. Ethan has his robots. More importantly, they have confidence. They have proof that they're talented. They have mentors who believe in them. In May, Rebecca gets an invitation to her cousin Lily's wedding. Now, Lily was one of the people laughing that night at New Year's. Rebecca remembers her. She was laughing while Charlotte tore down Rebecca's children for entertainment. Rebecca RSVPs no without any explanation. Lily calls her confused and hurt. She says, "Rebecca, what's going on? You're my family." Rebecca says very calmly, "Family doesn't humiliate each other's children for entertainment." Lily tries to push back. She says that was months ago. Charlotte was just playing around. "You're being so sensitive." Rebecca says, "You laughed as my kid stood there trying not to cry. That's not sensitivity. That's consequences." Lily says, "Are you really going to throw away our entire relationship over this?" Rebecca says, "I'm not throwing anything away. I'm just done pretending that casual cruelty is acceptable because we shared DNA." Lily hangs up on her. Rebecca deletes her contact information and moves on. But Lily's wedding becomes a turning point in ways Rebecca doesn't expect. Without Rebecca there, apparently the entire family spends the reception talking about her, about how she's changed, about how cold she's become, about how she's abandoned everyone for nothing. Then someone named Kelly, an old friend who was invited to the wedding, calls Rebecca the next day. She's furious on Rebecca's behalf. Kelly says, "Rebecca, I need to tell you something. Your family spent literally hours trashing you at that wedding. Your mother gave this whole speech about ungrateful children and broken families. Charlotte was crying at the rehearsal dinner about how you destroyed Melline's dreams. It was horrible." Rebecca's heart sinks. She's already dealing with so much, hearing that they're still out there talking about her, still trying to make her the villain. But then Kelly says something that changes everything. But here's the thing. Not everyone agreed with them. Kelly explains that the groom's family was there, and when Rebecca's family started explaining what happened on New Year's Eve, the groom's family looked absolutely horrified. One of the groom's aunts actually said, "Wait, she insulted your grandchildren to their faces, and you're angry that your daughter protected them?" Rebecca's mother tried to backtrack. She started saying it wasn't so bad. It wasn't as horrible as Rebecca was making it seem. But here's the thing. Someone had the Instagram video, the New Year's Eve video. Someone had found it or saved it before Rebecca's cousin deleted it, and they showed it to people at the wedding. Kelly says, "Rebecca, I'm watching this video as an outsider without all the family baggage attached. And honestly, it looks like an adult woman tormenting children while everyone laughs. It's disturbing. It's really, really disturbing." The groom's family was absolutely outraged. I overheard his mother telling him later that your family has serious dysfunction issues. Rebecca sits down heavily. The video, the one she thought was gone, the one she saved, it was being shown. People were watching it. People outside the family were watching it and seeing it for what it actually was. Kelly continues, "Rebecca, I need you to know that not everyone thinks you're wrong. Some of us witnessed exactly what happened, and for what it's worth, I regret not speaking up that night. I should have said something. I should have stood up for you." Kelly's call meant more to Rebecca than Kelly probably realized. Rebecca had been carrying the weight of being the villain in everyone's narrative. She'd been wondering if she overreacted, if she was being too harsh, if maybe the family was right and she really was just too sensitive. But Kelly's words confirmed something crucial. She wasn't wrong. She hadn't overreacted. She'd done exactly what needed to be done. She'd protected her children from people who had shown they couldn't be trusted with their emotions. As spring turns into summer, Rebecca notices something incredible happening with her children. They're getting physically taller. Yes, but that's not the main thing. The main thing is that they're getting more confident. The troubled expressions they wore that night, gone, replaced with something else. Something like joy. Something like the bright-eyed confidence of kids who've learned they actually have value. Rebecca makes some decisions about the summer. She decides that Olivia and Ethan get to do things they love. Not because they have to. Not because it's good for their future college applications. Because they want to. Olivia attends a music composition camp at a nearby university. And there, for the first time, she's surrounded by other kids her age who are passionate about music composition. Serious about it. Treating it like an art form, not a hobby. She thrives. She absolutely thrives. She comes home every day talking about theory, about composers, about people who've shown her new ways of thinking about music. Ethan enrolls in a summer robotics class. He comes home every single day chatting about things Rebecca barely understands. Servos, programming languages, engineering concepts. He's obsessed. He's engaged. He's happy. Both of them are growing. Both of them are becoming more confident in who they are. In August, Rebecca gets a text from an unknown number. It takes her a moment to figure out who it's from. It's Meline, Rebecca's niece. The text says, "I'm sorry for what my mom said at New Year's. I wanted to reach out sooner, but she wouldn't let me contact you. I'm at community college now, and it's actually really good. I'm learning a lot. I just wanted you to know that I don't blame you for anything." Rebecca reads this message multiple times. She thinks about Meline for a second. Meline's always been caught in the middle of Charlotte's dysfunction. She was influenced by her mother's values and priorities in ways that aren't completely her fault. Rebecca texts back, "Thank you for reaching out. I'm glad school is going well. You're always welcome to come by if you want to talk without your mom there." Meline never takes Rebecca up on the offer, but the fact that she reached out, that she recognized what Rebecca was dealing with, that meant something to Rebecca. It meant that maybe something was changing, even if it was just a small shift. September arrives. New school year. Olivia starts 7th grade and immediately joins the school's music program. Ethan enters 4th grade and enrolls in an advanced science class. In October, Olivia's music teacher calls Rebecca in for a conference. Rebecca's heart sinks. immediately worried there's a problem. But the teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, smiles. She says, Olivia has exceptional talent. I've been teaching for 23 years, and I've rarely seen students with her instinctive command of composition. Have you ever considered getting private lessons with a more specialized teacher? Rebecca hasn't. She admits she wasn't even sure that was an option. Mrs. Rodriguez says, every year a professor at the local conservatory takes on a few young students. I'd like to propose Olivia if you're interested. Rebecca asks Olivia what she thinks. Olivia's eyes light up. She says, really? You mean like a real music teacher? From the conservatory. They meet with the professor the next week. His name is Michael Harrison. He listens to Olivia perform 3 of her original compositions. He asks her about her approach. He asks about her influences. When she's finished, he sits back and watches her carefully. He says, you have something special, Olivia. Something that cannot be taught. It can only be fostered. I'd be thrilled to work with you. Olivia practically floats out of that meeting. On the way home, she turns to Rebecca with tears in her eyes. She says, Charlotte said I didn't have talent, that I should focus on academics like Meline instead of wasting time with music. Rebecca says, your aunt was wrong about a lot of things. Olivia says, I believed her for so long. Every time we visited them, she'd say something about how I was wasting my time. I was starting to think maybe she was right. Rebecca says, you should have been protected from that sooner. That's on me. I should have shielded you. Olivia squeezes her hand and says, you protected us when it actually mattered most. Thank you for choosing us. November comes. Rebecca gets a Facebook friend request from Charlotte. Rebecca refuses it. Charlotte sends another one the next day. Rebecca denies it again. On the 3rd day, Charlotte creates a new account and messages Rebecca directly. Could we please talk? I acknowledge that I made a mistake. I miss you. Rebecca reads the message and then deletes it without responding. December arrives. It's marked the 1-year anniversary of that terrible New Year's Eve. Olivia and Ethan are completely different children now. Confident, comfortable, thriving in ways they never experienced before. Olivia asks Rebecca, are we doing anything for New Year's this year? Rebecca asks, what would you like to do? Olivia says, can we just stay home and watch movies? Just us. Rebecca says, that sounds perfect. On New Year's Eve, the 3 of them bake homemade pizza from scratch. They play board games. They watch the ball drop on television from their couch, cozy and safe and together. At midnight, they toast with sparkling cider. Rebecca says, fresh beginnings. Olivia adds, we are enough just the way we are. Ethan says solemnly, to the family that chose us. They clink their glasses, and Rebecca feels a deep sensation of light wash over her. This was family. This was home. This was what mattered. Rebecca's phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. It's Charlotte. Happy New Year, sis. I hope you're proud of yourself for wrecking this family. Rebecca reads it once and blocks the number. Charlotte's words are no longer effective. They don't land. They don't hurt. They don't make Rebecca question herself anymore. Olivia asks, who was that? Rebecca says, nobody important. She puts her phone away and turns back to her kids. So, who wants more pizza? Spring arrives. It's April, almost exactly 1 year and 4 months after everything happened. Olivia is invited to perform at a prestigious young music showcase. It's a big deal. Serious musicians. Real recognition. On a cold spring evening, Rebecca sits in the audience watching her daughter walk onto that stage. Olivia performs her composition, the one called Invisible. The audience is absolutely silent the entire time, not distracted, not fidgeting, completely absorbed. When she finishes, the applause is immediate and thunderous. Strangers come up to Rebecca afterward to tell her how talented her daughter is. They ask about her training. They tell her she has an incredible future ahead of her. One woman introduces herself as Dr. Miranda Chin. She's a music professor at the State University. She tells Olivia, "Your composition is extraordinary. Have you ever considered applying to our Young Composers program? We take high school students for summer intensive training." Olivia's eyes widen. She thought that was years away. She thought she wasn't ready yet. But suddenly she's being invited. Ethan stands next to Rebecca, beaming with pride for his sister. He's happy for her. Genuinely happy. Not competitive. Not comparing himself. Just proud. Rebecca looks at her children. Her seemingly ordinary, talentless children. The ones her family said had no medals, no talent, no future. And Rebecca's heart fills with a love so strong that it doesn't require confirmation from anyone else. It doesn't need the approval of people who've proven themselves unworthy of witnessing it. She remembers Charlotte's sneer. No medals, no talent. Just like their mother. Olivia notices Rebecca's expression and smiles up at her, understanding what her mom's thinking about. Rebecca pulls both her kids close and thinks, "They were so wrong about us." Here's what Rebecca learned through all of this. You cannot force people to appreciate you. You cannot make your family members suddenly see your value if they're determined not to. But you can absolutely refuse to accept their devaluation. You can walk away. You can choose yourself. You can choose your kids. And sometimes that's the most powerful thing you can do. Sometimes the greatest act of love is knowing when to leave. Rebecca's children learned something too. They learned that their worth is not defined by what anyone else thinks, especially not by family members who use them as props in someone else's superiority complex. They learned that confidence comes from people who actually see you, from mentors who believe in you, from making genuine accomplishments, not from the approval of people who were never going to give it anyway. Charlotte never got her apology, never got reconciliation. She's apparently still living with Rebecca's parents. Meline's at community college, not Harvard. Rebecca's parents never got their daughter back. But Olivia got her music. She got a conservatory teacher. She got an invitation to a prestigious summer program. She got the knowledge that she's talented. She got confidence. Ethan got his robots. He got a team that values him. He got the knowledge that he's brilliant. He got coaches who believe in him. He got medals and recognition and proof that he's capable. And Rebecca? Rebecca got her children's trust, their happiness, the absolute certainty that she would fight for them no matter what. She got freedom. Freedom to define family in her own way. Freedom to demand respect instead of begging for scraps of praise. Freedom to walk away from harmful situations without drowning in guilt. That was worth infinitely more than all the champagne toasts in the world. Worth more than any family reunion. Worth more than any obligation to people who'd proven themselves unworthy of the love she kept trying to give them. You know what's interesting about this story? It's not actually about college funds or legal battles or cutting off family members, though all of that's part of it. It's about recognizing abuse when it's dressed up as family tradition. It's about understanding that just because something is normal in your family doesn't mean it's okay. It's about having the strength to be the person who stops the cycle. A lot of people in Rebecca's family probably don't even think what happened was abuse. They probably see it as harmless teasing. They probably think Rebecca is overreacting and being vindictive. But think about it from the kids' perspective. 2 children sitting in front of their entire extended family, being publicly humiliated by an adult, being compared unfavorably to a cousin, having their self-worth attacked, and then having the whole room laugh. That's not funny. That's cruel. And it's insidious because it comes packaged as family love. Rebecca's parents laughed too. The people who were supposed to protect these children laughed, right along with Charlotte. That's the betrayal that really breaks my heart about this story. But Rebecca understood something important. She understood that protecting her kids meant more than keeping the peace. It meant being willing to walk away. It meant being willing to look bad to other people. It meant being willing to be the villain in someone else's story. And that takes real courage. That takes real strength. There's something else too. Rebecca didn't just protect her kids by removing them from the toxic environment. She actively built them up. She got them into activities with people who saw their gifts. She found mentors who believed in them. She didn't just say, "You're great. Don't listen to your family." She found real, external validation. She created new communities where they could be appreciated. That's what good parenting looks like when you're dealing with family dysfunction. It's not just damage control. It's active restoration. It's saying, I'm not just going to take away the bad thing. I'm going to give you access to good people who will see you for who you really are. And honestly, I think that's the part of this story that resonated most with me. Because yes, cutting off your family is dramatic. Yes, restructuring a college fund is bold. But building up your kids? Finding them teachers and mentors who genuinely believe in them? That's the real power move. That's what actually changed everything. So there you have it, guys. One New Year's Eve. One moment of public humiliation. One mother who finally said enough. A complete family overhaul that's still ongoing. And honestly, Rebecca's doing better than okay. She's doing great. Her kids are thriving. She's free from the guilt. Free from trying to earn approval from people who never had her back in the first place. That's what happens when you finally realize that your kids' well-being is more important than keeping peace with people who don't respect them. That your mental health matters. That walking away from toxic people, even when their family isn't selfish. It's necessary. I know some of you are probably sitting there thinking, should she have handled it differently? Should she have tried to work it out? Should she have been more forgiving? And maybe. But I also think sometimes we need to see someone stand firm in their boundaries and refuse to apologize for protecting their children. We need to see that be treated as the strong, correct choice instead of a mistake. Rebecca didn't go too far. She protected 2 children from ongoing emotional abuse. She did exactly what she needed to do. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This story absolutely blew my mind when I read it, and I hope it resonated with you guys too. Comment below and let me know, what would you have done in Rebecca's situation? Do you think she handled it right? Would you have cut off your family like she did? And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do it now. We post incredible stories like this every single week. Stories about family drama, about people standing up for themselves, about boundaries and betrayal and redemption. This channel is all about real human stories that will make you question everything. Thanks again for watching Reddit Family Stories. I'll see you in the next one.